Now, don't worry, I'm not a stabbing hobo, I'm a singing hobo. Nothing beats the hobo life, stabbing folks with my hobo knife.
Lord God Almighty, let me tell the news. My head got wet in midnight dew. Great God, I've been down on my bending knees, talking to a man from Galilee. My God spoke and he sounded so sweet. I thought I heard the shuffle of angels' feet. He put one hand upon my head. Great God Almighty, let me tell you what he said. Go tell that lonesome liar. Go tell that midnight rider. Tell the gambling, rambling backslider. Tell him God Almighty gonna cut him down. You might run on for a long time. Run on, ducking and dodging.
Hey everybody, welcome back to What the Hell Happened to Them? Jack Attacks the Cast. That's right, Jack Nicholson this season. I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill, and joining me on the line is a dead son of a bitch, Joe Vekeman.
You woke me up again.
And on the audio boards is Lev Van Rensselaer, reminding me to remind you that you can email the cast at whathappenedtothemcast@gmail.com. Joe, what movie are we doing this week for Jack Nicholson?
Well, last week we were looking for the next movie, and I thought it was Batman, but then a little movie crept in, and I was like, oh yeah, Ironweed. What is 1987's Ironweed?
Yes, Ironweed is a story about a man visited by three spirits one holiday evening, which convince him to bring a cooked bird to another family.
Not far off. Thank you for teeing me up for the synopsis.
Yeah, that old chestnut, eh?
Albany, New York, Halloween, 1938. Frances Phelan and Helen Archer are bums back in their birth city. She was a singer on the radio. He's a major league pitcher. Death surrounds them. She's sick. A pal has cancer. He digs graves at the cemetery and visits the grave of his infant son, whom he dropped. Visions of his past haunt him, including ghosts of two men he killed. That night, out drinking, Helen tries to sing at a bar. Feels so irrelevant. Next day, Fran visits his wife and children and meets a grandson. He could stay, but decides it's not for him. Helen gets their things out of storage and finds a hotel. Admits their mistakes and dereliction. The film explores their code of fairness and loyalty.
That might be one of the worst summaries you have found for this podcast. It is both overly detailed and not specific enough.
All right, well, that's the letterbox version. Here's the IMDb one. An alcoholic drifter spends Halloween in his hometown of Albany, New York, after returning there for the first time in decades.
Boom. Done.
There you go. More succinct.
Nice. Perfect.
I just thought that one, it's so long, and I'm like, okay.
It's like long, but it also breezes over a lot, you know, because this movie is 18 hours long.
I didn't think you were going to like it. It started, I'm like, what is this? And then I'm like, all right, he's not doing an accent. It's not that bad. And then I'm like,
he is doing an accent.
No, he's not really doing it.
He's like, what if I were a gangsta, see?
No, it's nowhere near as bad as Pritzi's Honor. It's nowhere near as bad.
It's still, the accent is still listenable. It's not Pritzi's Honor, you're right, but it's there.
It's like mild. If you had the salsas in front of you, this one would be mild, not medium. It's mild.
Yeah, Ironweed. It's a movie that asks, what if Reds happened in the same time period, but wasn't about communism and also never heard of subtext?
See, this is great.
Why was this why did this have to be on Halloween? You know?
I don't know. Why did he do this? This is the most depressing shit ever.
Well, this feels like Oscar baity kind of thing. I kind of get it. But it's just bad. It's a very boring movie.
But like 15 or 20 minutes in, he's just like, I dropped my son. He's like crying at a grave. I'm like, what is happening?
On the nose monologue to his graveyard, and I'm like, I remember when he did this to his father in 5 Easy Pieces, and it was way better. And he didn't want to do that monologue. You agreed to do this one?
It's just so weird because it goes back and forth between like, oh, we got a good like interesting location for this, and then this is a stage, and you're on a really weird like the set is too stagey though. It's like it's I don't know, and it looks I wasn't into the set design. It was strange.
You've been harping on a lot of set design in recent movies.
Have I?
That's a weird thing. You really pick up on set
it
design more than any other element.
But no, it looks like it looks like a stage play, and then it transitions to like, oh, they're actually like on a train track, and they're like in a location.
I can see why
now.
you feel that way. Everybody talks like they're in a stage play, but it seems to all just be based off a novel, where I guess people also similarly won't shut up.
Yeah, but it's like a whiplash, just going back and forth, back and forth. They're like, pick one. If you're gonna do a stagey thing, just do a stage thing. I don't know. It was weird. I was trying to get a grasp on it, and I was like, I kind of like this. And then by the end, when he's like back in his family, and it feels like the fucking Waltons, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And then they're like all accepting, like, come back and live with us. And I'm like, this guy killed the son, and he abandoned you, and now he's a drunk.
The first wife didn't tell anyone.
Oh, that he killed. Yeah, but it's just like he abandoned them. He just walked out and became an alcoholic and just like was living on the streets.
Well, the daughter was mildly angry about it for a bit, and then out of nowhere,
gets over it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I cried my tears. I'm ready to go.
And then at the end, it's so there's so Tom Waits, which I loved that Tom Waits is in this. I mean, great authentic bum right there. I love it. He's so good. Sings.
He
I
just
love his bum
ambled
music.
onto the set one day, and they're like, "Get this homeless man out of here!" And somebody was like, "No, wait,
no, get this homeless man a blanket.
Yeah,
Come on,
that's Tom Waits. What if we put him in the movie?
How about we let him sing one song?
Yeah."
So like, there's like a raid on the like where the bums are staying, and I'm like, what are we doing here? This is so mean. And I don't know. It was very mean.
Well, Joe, I don't know if you know this. It was hard for bums in the Depression.
But do you feel like there was like an attack on bums like coming the whole time?
The beginning of the third act, they needed a low point, obviously, Joe.
But then it was all low points because then he gets back to see Meryl Streep,
because it sucks. The movie sucks, Joe.
Yeah, but I'm trying to analyze a little more than it sucks. Come on.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Batman. You didn't watch Batman for this week, Joe? You fool.
Yeah, also, let's hold up because we've had a great string of guests lately, and then we're going to have some more guests on soon, but like, why no guests for this one? No one wants Ironweed?
Yeah,
Come
no
on,
one
guys.
was clamoring for the Ironweed episode.
You don't want to jump on an 143-minute Ironweed episode?
It was so long, Joe. Oh, my goodness.
It was so long. And I made the mistake of breaking it up in parts because I'm like, all right, I got 40 minutes to watch it now. I got 40 minutes to watch it now. Felt like it was going on for years.
Look, and he returns home, and that's like 50 minutes of the movie itself. It almost seems like it's a two-part play. It was like the one day and then the other day, but then that just like ends. He's just like, yeah, I'm going. And that was it.
I was trying to figure out like the timeline of this because I'm like, is this just going to be all in one day? Because it was like, you get a lot at the bar with Meryl and Tom and Jack, like where she's just singing all of a sudden. Like I read in the synopsis, that goes on for like 7 or 8 minutes where she just sings a song and then she realizes she's just in a dream.
Yeah, but you got Herman Munster in that scene, so I gave that one a pass.
Yes, Fred Gwynn.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then he left and I went, he's not coming back, is he? And then sure enough, he does not. So I had like another 120 minutes to go still.
It was probably like 100 minutes.
Yeah.
It was like 45 minutes in. Weird cast. It was, $27 million budget. I'll tell you that. How much did this movie make? Was everybody clamoring to go see Ironweed?
$15 million.
You're about double what they would
$8
actually
million,
made.
you say. No one wanted to see this?
Yeah, 7.3, yeah.
I'm just... So... Did critics
Who
not
is this
like
for?
it? It's for the stupid awards people. Every year I got to see like two or three of these fuckers. He's like, oh, isn't this so sad? Oh, yes, we're going to talk about this problem in a very generic and on-the-nose way without providing any real solutions. Here we go.
All right, this is going to really piss you off.
Roger, Roger, Roger. Roger, 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 Roger. R-O-G-E-R.
Roger Ebert wrote, Nicholson and Streep play drunks in Ironweed, and actors are said to like to play drunks because it gives them an excuse for overacting. But there is not much visible acting in this movie. The actors are too good for that. Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars.
Ebert, what? I don't understand your reviews. I just don't get it.
You know, this is probably one you could go back and repraise and say, hey,
It's almost like if he really likes a movie, he gives it 5 out of 4 stars. That's 4 is average.
Streep received raves from most critics. Janet Maslin of the New York Times wrote that Meryl Streep, as ever, is uncanny. Miss Streep uses the role of Helen as an opportunity to deliver a stunning impersonation of a darty-eyed, fast-talking woman of the streets. An angry, obdurate woman with great memories and no future. There isn't much more to the film's Helen than this, and indeed the character may go no deeper, but she's a marvel all the same. Behind the runny, red-rimmed eyes, the nervous chatter, and the haunted expression, Miss Streep is even more utterly changed than her co-star, and she even sings well. The sequence in which Helen entertains the real and imagined patrons of a bar room with the rendition of "He's Me Pal" is a standout. I guess. I didn't really care for it. She sings a lot in her movies.
Well, she was practicing for Ricky and the Flash.
That's not a bad movie.
That went on her reel when she sent it to the producers. Like, cast me as Ricky. Or was she the Flash?
But she sings in, everything, though. I think the same year, is this the same year as Postcards from the Edge, where she stars with Shirley MacLaine? Didn't she sing in that? I think she's an actress, but she sings. Do you know what that is?
The movie? I know the movie. I have not seen the movie.
Oh, it's good. It's a Mike Nichols movie.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised Jack Nicholson isn't popping in.
Yeah, so it didn't make much money. Critics were praising the performances, but thought the movie was
Well, so that's... I need him...
Oh my god, he got a Best Acting nomination for this.
Of course he did!
And the Los Angeles Film Critics gave him Best Actor for the year, and also included Witches of Eastwick. But not... broadcast news,
but not 7 seconds in broadcast news. That didn't stand out to them. Yeah, okay.
Also, New York Film Critics Circle Awards gave this the Best Actor for him, and they included broadcast news with Witches of Eastwick.
I like to think that somewhere,
Jesus,
inside of him, there's 1968 Jack Nicholson rolling around in there, and he's like, "Wow, they nominated you for this." Jack, you weren't even trying.
The movie, it's not unwatchable. It's just long.
I always want to know, do critics, especially in reference to Prizzi's Honor, if they liked this, why wouldn't they like this? This seems right up their alley, and turns out they kind of did like this. So fine. Joe, where on the spectrum of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch to Hubie Halloween do you think this movie falls?
For Halloween's sake?
Yeah. In the list of Halloween movies, where do you think it lands? Halloween Season of the Witch being the worst Halloween film, and Hubie Halloween being the best Halloween film.
You are going to catch so much shit for saying that, by the way.
I'm dropping that mic.
Oh my god. No.
That movie is atrocious.
I watched that recently. It's not bad.
That movie's terrible, actually. It's actually really, really, really bad.
What did I give
it? Was one of the first things on Tubi I watched.
You know, I'm probably leaning more towards you because I only gave it 3 stars. You gave it 1 star. God.
Horrible, horrible film.
Can I read your review?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Some more Hollywood nonsense here. Let me explain. The Halloween series was conceived as an anthology, which is an interesting idea. They gave up on that, though, when this film only made 7 times its budget at the box office. This was deemed not enough profit, I guess, and so they decided only to do Michael Myers movies from now on. What they failed to theorize is that maybe the lack of Mike is not why the film was not as successful. But again, still plenty successful. But perhaps it was only the horrendous script. One of the dumbest horror plots I've ever come across. Losing the forest through the trees. Hollywood.
Yeah, I feel good about that. That one aged pretty well, I think.
Yeah, did I say anything? Nope. I was just 3 stars. Middle of the road for me.
Yeah, good enough, I guess.
I think it's a little overhyped now.
Who's overhyping this thing? Who likes
that
this?
movie has an insane, really intense cult following now.
Move over to the Southland Tales, everybody. I promise you, you'll enjoy it more.
I feel like people go the first Halloween and then followed the next best Halloween movie is Halloween 3. Some people might even like Halloween 3 more than the first Halloween. It's weird. Did you know who narrated this movie?
This movie had a narrator?
Oh, it's the trailer. I was going to say, I was like, yeah, because I was like, what?
Of course I don't. I didn't see the trailer.
The trailer for the movie was narrated by Burgess Meredith.
Oh, why?
Because he
needed work.
Still alive, and he hadn't done Grumpy Old Men, but he was all out of Rocky movies.
Do you know, Burgess Meredith was in the All in the Family spin-off Gloria, starring Sally Struthers.
Oh.
Yeah, she gets divorced from Rob Reiner, and with her son moves into like this upstate New York kind of farmy ranch place, and Meredith Burgess is the one who owns it. He's like their landlord. It is aggressively boring, too.
I don't know if I was bored in the movie. I was like wishing it would kind of get to the point a little faster.
I knew what the point was, and I didn't want it.
Okay, what is this? Gene Hackman, Jason Robards, Paul Newman, Robert De Niro, Robert Duvall, and Sam Shepard expressed interest to play the lead role of Francis Phelan, but source novelist William Kennedy had Jack Nicholson already in mind for the central character. All those guys could have gotten saddled with this movie.
They wanted to, too.
Yeah.
Jack was like, fine.
I'll take it. I've got 2 other movies coming out this year. I'll just fit this one in. This is the debut theatrical feature film for Nathan Lane.
Yes.
Previously seen in Beau is Afraid.
And don't forget The Good Wife. And don't forget Frasier.
Yeah, and The Lion King.
And The Lion King. And probably The Lion King 1.5.
Oh, and The Birdcage. And Mike Nichols' movie.
And The Birdcage. Producers.
Yeah. I like Nathan Lane.
When you think of Nathan Lane, what's the first movie that comes to mind?
It's The Lion King, just because he's Timon.
When I bring up Nathan Lane, a lot of people go, oh, the guy from Mousetrap.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Or Mouse Hunt, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the deal. Here's the first thing I saw Nathan Lane in. I mean, obviously I saw him in The Lion King, but I didn't know it was Nathan Lane.
Yeah,
Here's the first thing I saw him in. Perhaps you remember the CBS sitcom Charlie Lawrence.
Charlie Lawrence. Okay.
You didn't see all 2 episodes of Charlie Lawrence?
2?
Charlie Lawrence I caught like on a Sunday night after The Simpsons. I was looking for something to watch. I think it was a Sunday, but that was in like 2003, so I don't remember.
There are 5 episodes, 2 unaired.
2 unaired. He plays like he used to be an actor, and then he becomes a congressman. He's like, oh, by the way, I'm gay. There you go. That's the plot. That's the whole thing. That's fucked up. The title of the first episode is kind of an overall feeling towards the series, I guess. A vote of no confidence. Yeah. I think one of the people from Married with Children is in there. I think the second husband Amanda Bearse has is in there.
This has fucking Laurie Metcalf?
Yes, Laurie Metcalf was in there. Yeah.
What?
And then I don't think anybody else was anybody.
Ted McGinley. Is that the Married with Children guy?
Yeah.
He was on Happy Days and The Love Boat?
I mean, everybody was in The Love Boat, so that's not super surprising.
Yeah, so this show, Charlie Lawrence, what a terrible title for a
I would never guess. It was really hard for me to find it. I didn't remember what it was called. I'm just like, show with Nathan Lane. They're like, oh, the one where he's an opera singer? And I go, no, that can't be right. Nathan Lane, politician, TV show. Eventually it comes up.
Wow. Mostly negative reviews.
What? Yeah, give me some reviews.
Mostly negative reviews. The New York Times called the political satire mild and formulaic. Mild, like Jack Nicholson's accent.
Yeah. Well.
The first episode of Charlie Lawrence got a rating of 0.9. Back in 2003 when it mattered.
Yeah, I had read somewhere when I was looking for the show where they were like, this was CBS's worst rated show ever.
I gotta know, this is fact that kind of comes up in a bunch of our movies now. Jack Nicholson's contract included a clause which allowed him to leave the shooting location to attend all Los Angeles Lakers basketball games.
Which must have really slowed down production on your 200-page movie.
And he's in almost every scene.
This is why they added so many Meryl Streep scenes. They're like, well, we got to fill the time somehow.
There's like 3. There's the scene where she gets to the hotel. There's a scene where we kind of just watch her sing for a while. And then there's one more I'm forgetting. But there's like, yeah. And then there's like one scene. She goes to a library. Yes.
Yeah, she's got this whole background, too, I thought we were going to get more of because we got way too much of the Nicholson one. She's got like this brother thing, I guess, or something. Fortunately, there's an element of subtext there where we have to piece it together. Even the nature of her death is somewhat, like, it's not fully thrown in our face.
Yeah, does she just... What is it?
Exactly. There's a bit of mystery there, which is fine. I'm sure there are clues. We just weren't looking for them, so...
I was waiting for the third act reveal for Nicholson to turn over. She's been stabbed, and then he has to go to the hotel and find out who stabbed her. Just add a whole nother layer
Turns
onto
out it was him, and ghosts had possessed him, and now he's just...
Now it's a murder mystery. Jack Nicholson wanted his son, Caleb Goddard, to play Francis Phelan as a boy, but Caleb expressed no wish to do so. Yeah, come on, kid.
You got one scene, you get to bean somebody with a rock. Get it? Because you're a baseball player and you got a wicked arm.
Why would he say wicked arm?
Because he's obviously playing on the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
No, the movie's so old because he's back in Studs Lonigan times that he was on the Washington Senators, a team that no longer exists and hasn't for quite some time. They are currently the Minnesota Twins.
Argentinian director Hector Babenco said of this picture, "It is a movie that tries to embrace the territories of love, and it's also about the courage and beauty of people. We don't usually think of us as having deep and complex emotions."
Try is the operative word there.
Thank you. Yeah. You took it right from me. It tries. We went for the same joke again. The film source Ironweed novel by William Kennedy is the third book in Kennedy's 8-book series, which is known as the Albany Cycle.
He's doing a real Dubliners type thing here, I guess.
What's the Dubliners?
I don't have the patience to explain this to you, Joe.
Okay, fine. At 32 minutes and 5 seconds into the film, Francis is crossing the street at night with several other characters in front of oncoming traffic. You're going to love this. A car has to beep its horn and stop short to avoid hitting them. One of the group says, "Hold your horses, we're walking here. This seems to be an obvious allusion to Dustin Hoffman's ad-lib in Midnight Cowboy, where a taxi stops to avoid him hitting him, and he shouts, "Hey, I'm walking here. Is this movie set in 1938? This is where Hoffman pulled it from.
Yeah.
From his movie from 1969. This trivia sucks.
You know, I did look it up, though. Jack Nicholson earning $6 for working at the cemetery. That's like $128. That's not bad.
For real?
Yeah, for real. $128.
Remember when he's like negotiating with the guy? He's like, "I want $5.75.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You didn't do it when
He's got to buy a turkey."
Yeah. It's funny.
And you know what? Meryl Streep found $10 in the church. That's $214.
Holy shit. That's why she probably got the hotel and the baggage and stuff.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson trying to buy something for 2 bits. That was just what you said when you said a quarter back in the day. His shirt cost 2 bits, 1 quarter. Interestingly enough, you couldn't buy something for 1 bit. It was not a real denominator. Did you see when she got change back at the restaurant? He's like, "Here's a couple of $2 bills for you." I got immediately annoyed by the film when Jack Nicholson's having this big monologue in the graveyard. Obviously, they want us to like the homeless bum, and this was their very creative way of endearing sympathy in us, having to hear this stupid monologue thing. It just shows a lack of creativity. But then I started to take note of some of the other expositional lines here. How about these lines that no real person would probably say?
Jesus Christ. Hold on. Yeah. Before you say any of this shit.
Okay.
We should put like a little thing, because you kind of called it out before we got into the 80s that you were probably going to take a shit on all the 80s Jack Nicholson movies. And you know what? We're almost out of the 80s And you haven't really liked any of them, so
Yeah.
let's just know that when we're going into this. Just
I like
maybe
2/3 of The Border, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, because you didn't like broadcast news.
No.
Okay, go on with the quotes.
All
Give me
right.
them.
All right. Why did you kill me? That's one. Odd logic from a man who abandoned his own family. Goddamn dead men traveling around together. I love him, even though he's poor. Poor is better than... Obviously, that's not what Meryl Streep says, but that's the song, the very apt title song.
Yeah.
And then I gave up. I got tired. I couldn't do it anymore. If there's one thing I learned from this movie, though, it's that Life magazine was gigantic in the 20s and 30s. And by gigantic, I, of course, mean like physically a very large publication.
Yeah, it was really big.
It was like a trade paperback kind of version you'd see in a library these days. But, there was a nice moment in the scene where Meryl Streep just wanders into a piano or like a hotel or a piano store or something and just starts playing the piano and plays it well. And she's just like there, and the owner wants to say something to kick her out, but she's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, newsflash, Meryl Streep's multi-talented.
So that was a nice little bright side. And then the movie just kind of ends. It's abrupt, or it's unearned, or nothing. I don't know. The movie's just kind of done. And I'm not even mad. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, yes, I get to go.
I didn't hate it, but it's definitely not my favorite Nicholson we've covered. Not even in the 80s.
I really didn't like this. Like, that was my big debate. I'm like, do I want this more or less than Prizzi's Honor? And I think I just want Prizzi's Honor just because it's shorter. And not even much shorter, but shorter enough.
I like Tom Waits too much to like Prizzi's Honor more than this.
Tom Waits is in it for a little bit at the beginning.
He's in it for like a good chunk of the first 40 minutes, and then he comes in at the end for the last half hour.
Well, I'm tabling this because we got to talk about some football around the world. Football round the world. All right, well, with the XFL basically over because the Battlehawks are out, it's time to follow a couple other leagues. The WFA has begun, Joe. Do you know what that is?
World Football Association.
It's the Women's Football Association.
Oh, okay.
And returning, and also 7-time champion, Boston Renegades are back.
Boston.
And they played against the DC Divas, and in typical Renegades fashion, they...
Jesus Christ! The DC Divas? Really? God.
And in typical Renegades fashion, the Renegades won 63-6.
Wow! 63?
It was 63-0 for just about all of the game, and then they kind of gave a little touchdown at the end to be nice.
63?
Yeah, so they begin the season 1-0. But then I've also followed the East Coast team here. I'm sorry, the West Coast team here in the WFA, the Cali War, and they beat the Nevada Storm 45-14 to go up 2-0 on the season.
Not much of a game.
Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, in the Hungarian Football League, the Győr Sharks beat the Wolverines 20-0 to go 2-1 in their season. In the USFL, the Maulers. This is the first time, Joe, I've ever seen the Maulers win a football game.
Oh, good for them.
They won one last season, and I missed that game. I did not get to watch that. I'd never seen them. It had been 350 days since the Maulers last won a football game. They won 21-13 over the Philadelphia Stars. And then in the BNL, do you know what the BNL is?
By and large.
The Belgium-Netherlands League. The 20-time Tulip Bowl champions, the Amsterdam Crusaders, beat the Black Angels. Oh, no, they lost to the Black Angels. Yes, they lost to go down 4-1 on the season.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's our Football Around the World talk. Now, are you ready to return the much hotly anticipated return of Watergate Watch?
Watergate, Watergate, oh, Watergate.
Watch.
I have been waiting for this to come out just so you could watch it, because I'm not going to watch it, but I've been waiting for your... Yes, go on.
Well, maybe you'll watch it if I tell you, aside from Justin Theroux as G. Gordon Liddy and Woody Harrelson as E. Howard Hunt, there was also Judy Greer as
wow.
G. Gordon Liddy's wife.
A favorite of ours. Wow.
Did we see her in person at that screening, or was it just the director?
Just the director.
I felt like there was a second woman there. It wasn't one of the actors, though?
I think it was a writer.
Okay.
I think it was a writer and director.
Then.
Yeah.
Judy Greer and Poker Face just too busy these days. I guess it was those days, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also Domhnall Gleeson as John Dean.
Oh, wow. That's fun casting.
Yeah. So, looking back on it, on the other Watergate things, it's sort of like the lowest ranking characters we followed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we've technically followed G. Gordon Liddy before in the movie based off his biography, but they're trying to avoid all the power. Like, John Dean's like the powerful, shady guy in the series so far. So, like, they're trying to keep it really low on the ladder, which is an interesting approach to it, I think.
I just think it's funny. You keep saying the word "we," and I'm like, the word "we" is doing a lot of heavy lifting because you're watching all this stuff.
We as a nation, obviously, are watching.
Is this the one that's called White House Plumbers?
Yeah, the White House Plumbers.
Excellent,
So they explain in the movie why they're called that. They don't. It's a group of like 5 people that worked under Coulson, Chuck Coulson, who also got his own movie that was really bad. And it's because it's made in response to the...
Oh my God. Justin Theroux has an incredible mustache. I just saw
that's the G. Gordon Liddy mustache, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Daniel Ellsberg leaks all the Pentagon documents, the Pentagon papers, and so Nixon's all pissed off about it. So the White House wants to stop all the leaks. And so they call themselves the Plumbers, because plumbers, Joe, stop leaks. So it's a group of 5 people, really, but the team is led by Liddy and Hunt. Well, I guess it's led by Bud Krogh. Liddy and Hunt are the 2-point men, but we see some of the other people in there. Like
this cast is amazing.
I know. Gary Cole shows up as Mark Felt.
What? Gary Cole is a staple on HBO shows and stuff like that. He always pops up. Company player.
And for all the, proselytizing Mark Felt did after the fact of being like, yeah, they ruined the country and I'm deep throat. He did spend the Ellsberg section of the Watergate stuff being like, yep, here's all the dirt on Ellsberg we've been tapping him. We got to stop this guy. So he doesn't come off particularly clean smelling in this one either, which we haven't seen too much of in a lot of these films. So then the series is about kind of the first thing they did, which is this Ellsberg burglary thing. They go to Beverly Hills to try to get dirt on Ellsberg, and so they want to break into a psychiatrist's office to find out all the crazy stuff he is, so that they can kind of blackmail him and discredit him that way, which is something has been talked about in a lot of these things, but never focused on. So that was nice that we went much further back into the timeline to see some less important things. Howard Hunt's sort of the lead character here of the 2, which makes sense because in theory he's the most relatable because G. Gordon Liddy is a crazy person. Probably going to be hard. And, they play up a lot of the Nazi support he has. But because he's one of the main characters, the show seems to try to... So Woody Harrelson at some point, in classic True Detective fashion, is like, why are you so fucking weird? And G. Gordon Liddy's going to be like, well, I was, I'm not a Nazi, and I don't believe what they did was good. I think it was evil. But, and then, he says all the things he liked about the Nazis did. But there was an attempt to be like, see, he's kind of relatable, maybe. He's got this bullying trauma or blah, blah, blah. The most notable scene is probably, as you're friends with your coworkers, Joe, you say, hey, let's get the wives over and let's meet up for dinner. So...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Howard Hunt and his wife go to Liddy's place for dinner. They meet his weirdly polite children. And then he's like, I think I'll throw in a little music for us to enjoy, everybody. And then it turns out to just be speeches of Hitler, just a loud record of Hitler giving speeches, and then he goes out to chase some neighbor kids with a gun. So the dinner party probably didn't go exactly according to plan. Some problems with this. There's a lot of bad exposition dumps. The show seemed to really want us to know how smart and well-researched it was, and so they're really, ham-fistedly tossing in things and dragging our attention to it. Maybe they just felt like they needed to catch us up to speed or remind us of the time period we were in. I thought it was a bit unnecessary. But, they did bring up some interesting details, like Howard Hunt actually being a multi-published novelist of mediocre spy books. But he published, I don't know, dozens of them. He made a lot of them, so he's tinkering away there in the basement. It also tries to be kind of like a bromantic comedy.
Good Lord.
And Gaslit had some funny moments in it from like all the crazy stuff happening, but wasn't like, I don't know, this movie's in a weird spot where it's not all the way in pure farce like I Love Dick was, or is it just called Dick?
Oh, so there is a Kevin Bacon show called I Love Dick starring Kathryn Hahn. But yes, no, the movie that you're referring to is called Dick.
So it's not quite Dick, and it's not as terrifying as like Nixon or parts of Gaslit. So it's in like a weird spot where the joke, it almost feels like too cartoony to be taken seriously, but they're not fully leading into the parody nature of it yet. So I've got my eye on that. So then at the end, we kind of have the mission for the Ellsberg stuff didn't go super great. They didn't get the documents they were looking for, and they think they're going to be fired. And indeed, Bug Krogh is fired, who was running the plumbers, by John Dean. And then John Dean says, okay, I'm taking you over to Creep, gentlemen. You're going to be working for me now. And then the episode ends.
I'm a creep.
Yeah. It's a show that's these two people that were like... also rans and cast-asides of the political machine in Washington, and they want, like, one last chance to prove themselves. And so for them, it's triumphant that John Dean wants to hire them because they're like, we're even closer to the president now. We're doing it. We're making it work. So we'll see how that goes from there. The movie also had a companion podcast that I listened to, put out by HBO. Oh. And then they brought in, like, guests, like Woody Harrelson talked about what it was like auditioning for the show, the producer of it, famous producer Mark Burnham, who I think did Big Love or something like it. He did Enlightened. He did like a bunch of HBO shows already. He talked about trying to get the show started as long ago as 2012 because his dad, because his dad was a neurologist and Bud Krogh was his patient. I thought that was kind of crazy. Anything else? Oh, and then the writer of my Watergate book was a guest on the episode too. So, really doing some research there.
Let me bring it all around now.
Yeah,
Hold
go
on.
for it.
Ready? Mm-hmm. So, the first episode of this show, called The Beverly Hills Burglary, aired on May 1st, and its viewership was 0.2. And this is a 5-episode miniseries, it looks to be. So I think it's funny because the Nathan Lane show was 5 episodes, and it had a 0.9 and it got canceled right away.
Okay, but HBO is a premium.
I know, I'm just saying. That's so funny.
And I didn't even watch it live.
0.2, no one's watching this.
They'll watch it. All right.
Yeah, let's be sitting on there on the streaming service until it isn't.
So until they say, we're done with this. Time to hide this as a tax write-off.
Until it becomes just Max.
Yeah. All right, Joe, let's go to our last look, shall we? What are our last looks on Ironweed?
Last looks, wow, on the movie Ironweed. 1987's Ironweed, wow.
Yeah.
Jack, don't do this again.
Yeah.
Don't do the accent again. I feel like it's coming up again. I know a movie that's happening soon, and I'm just like, don't do another accent. All right. It was fine. I didn't mind it. It was too long. Happy that Jack got another nomination. So it was deserved, but, I guess, right? He just, no.
Not deserved here.
Shaking his head.
And I think
he tries.
Okay. Who was my last looks?
Okay. Yeah, what's your last looks? Oh, this is a performance.
My last looks. Yeah. No. There isn't some... I don't think Jack Nicholson deserved a nomination here because I just don't think it's a really good part. And I think I agree with Ebert that he's sort of like overacting in a lot of spots here. What surprised me about all the early stuff we saw with Jack Nicholson and like all the behind the scenes stuff when he was producing and like didn't want to do the speech in 5 Easy Pieces because of the bad writing and all that stuff, or taking over the pseudo directing in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, is like, this guy really knows cinema. So it's depressing when these movies that he's more known for. I don't know why he would do this movie. There was a time when I think he would have turned this movie down or would have worked hard to make it better. So there's like an element of coasting that seems to be happening now in Jack Nicholson's career, where he's just there, he's taking his paycheck, other than broadcast news, having fun, and kind of going on his way afterwards to the next project. And so I'm a little depressed that he kind of did a movie like this, or thought that he might get an award for this, or I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't like a quick throwaway thing you could do. Like, this took a lot of his time, other than when the Lakers were playing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit bummed out that he did a movie like this, and that more of these are probably going to be coming.
Yeah, this was the Oscar year where The Last Emperor won Best Picture, and Bernardo Bertolucci won Best Director.
Yeah, which, for a man who made a lot of really great films, that's not one of them.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the one he's going to win for. Classic Academy move.
Can I just give you the lineup of Best Directors that year?
Yeah.
Obviously, Bertolucci won. Lassie Hallstrom for My Life as a Dog. Norman Jewison for Moonstruck. John Boorman for Hope and Glory. And Adrian Lyne for Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction, huh?
Cool nomination. That's out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big hit, but like...
Moonstruck I saw, it's fine, but not Best Picture, Best Director worthy, I think.
Michael Douglas won Best Actor that year for...
Fatal Attraction.
Not Fatal Attraction. Wall Street.
Oh, that was the same year? Oh, man.
It's the same year. I mean, they're probably like, well, 2-for-1 deal. The guy kind of owned 87. But he was up against Robin Williams for Good Morning Vietnam. Jack Nicholson, Marcello Mastroianni for Dark Eyes, a movie I've never heard of.
Yeah, me neither.
And William Hurt for Broadcast News.
Yeah, I'd probably give it to him there. That's one the Academy got right, of the paltry offering they had.
And Best Actress, this is the last one. Best Actress, Cher won for Moonstruck, and she was up against Meryl Streep, Sally Kirkland for Anna, Holly Hunter for Broadcast News, and Glenn Close for Fatal Attraction.
Mm-hmm, makes sense.
This is the one movie that the Academy was like, let's just get a little funky.
Let's get a little frisky here. It was just like there was nothing made. There was nothing good made. They're like, I guess we'll pick this one.
87 was a good year. Leave it alone.
There's not a Pritzi's honor to be found among the bunch. Let's just pick anything.
It was the 87 was not recognized as for the Academy, but it was a good year. We'll go through it. I know you don't like the 80s, but I'm saying it's a good year.
Are we going through it right now, or can I wrap up the show?
No, let's wrap up the fucking show. Okay. No, absolutely not.
All right, I'd like to thank Lev Van Rensselaer for minding those audio boards and keeping the sound so slippery smooth. He's the audio maven that we are craving. I'd like to thank my co-host Joe Vekeman for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
And I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill. You can find my features, documentaries, short films, video essays, animations, behind-the-scenes footage, and so much more at QuixoticUnited.com and social media, presumably with a similar sounding name. Thank you all for listening. Joe, say goodnight.
Good night.
But when Amazon, for these Nicholson movies, doesn't have a Blu-ray version of something, I go, wow, this is a movie that wasn't good.
Oh. Or it's just like, it's got some weird rights issues.
That nobody's gone back to make the Blu-ray. Like, Heartburn didn't have a Blu-ray, and I went, uh-oh.
I mean, that's the exception. I mean, there's like, I guess Passenger has a Blu-ray, but we want a better Blu-ray of it.
Yeah, Passenger is like a weird UK European Blu-ray. I want real American Blu-ray, goddammit.
I want the good old US of A. This movie.
Hey, no spoilers.
I'm not spoiling.
No spoilers, Joe.
I love it when you say that, because I'm like, that's not spoiling it. I haven't said anything.
As you know, Joe, I went back to watch Southland Tales in the theater.
Oh, yes. Give me this.
I was joined by former podcast guest Andrew, who did the Easy Rider episode with us.
Yes.
And he said, Southland Tales? What is that? And I said, you just wait, good sir. The amount of times a confused look entered onto his head was quite amusing. The audience was really into the film.
Of course.
I think the moment that surprised him the most was, why is John Lovitz in this movie as a corrupt cop? It's a very good question.
We know now, though.
We know. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know, but
we kind of know because he did the casting with like we kind of figured that out. He's cast against type, like our other friend.
Yeah, but why? I just don't know why Richard Kelly wanted to. He said, you know what? John Lovitz is yet to get his due. I know there's more range to him. Let's do this.
Lovitz was in a weird place in 2005. Because he hadn't been in a Sandler movie since Little Nicky, I believe. And that role in Little Nicky that he has is not very flattering.
You don't want to talk about all the weird names in Southland Tales?
Sherry O'Terry?
Zora Carmichaels.
Wallace Shawn? Who is Wallace Shawn?
Baron von Westphalen.
Okay, and Kevin Smith?
Simon Theory. A legless Iraq war veteran, which is, quite frankly, none of that I got from watching the movie.
Yeah, wait, he didn't have any legs?
Yes. Exactly.
Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Krista Now. That's not the most...
Yeah, Krista Now.
I tell you, that character grows on me each time I watch the movie.
She's good. She's good in that movie.
Well, like the character itself, though, I don't know. There's something very appealing about her. John Larroquette, former Good Wife, Good Fight alum. Von Smallhouse.
Von Smallhouse. Wait, the guy from the dad from Donnie Darko. Who's that character?
Yeah, his name's Holmes Osborne, who was in the final episode of the Drew Carey Show. His name's just like Bobby Frost, which is why he's always quoting poet Robert Frost.
Oh, yeah.
Get it?
I remember that.
You getting it? Don't forget Will Sasso playing Fortunio Balducci.
I think, what's his name? God, hold on. I'm going to get his name. The director of Donnie Darko, Southland Tales, and The Box. Why is his name escaping me? Probably it's because of all these bizarre naming of it. What my idea is, he grabbed a joint and was just writing down
whatever sounds
one set of names,
came to mind.
and then wrote down on another paper another set of names, and then he's like, let's do one of those like cross together, like we'll just one line here, and they're gonna match all the names together. What is it? Fortunio
Balducci. Yeah, there you go. Christopher Lambert, the Highlander himself, playing Walter Mung.
Is this the one that has Anna Gasteyer in it?
No, it has neither of them in there.
Oh.
Notably, did not have the Janine Garofalo role, which is how I know it was not the Cons cut, just the regular version.
Wait, she's not on the Cons cut?
She is in the Cons cut. She's not in the regular version. She got cut out of it.
Getting confused now.
Yeah, she plays General Tina MacArthur, but Tina is spelled Teena. Not that you'd ever know that.
Yeah, that's for the audience that watches the credits.
Then, of course, you've got Sean William Scott as both Roland and Ronald Tavener, and Dwayne Johnson as Boxer Santero / Jericho Kane.
Jericho Kane. It's just funny because that just feels like a wrestling joke because, you know, I know it's like
I
a
certainly
Bible
don't
thing.
know, but go on.
But The Rock, two of his big rivals, the Chris Jericho and Kane.
His name's just Kane.
It was only a few years ago that he was wrestling them in the ring.
Oh man, this box office, Joe, $375,000. Yeah, the budget $17 million. The box office.
Yeah, because it barely got released. We talked about that.
It's been a while.
Like 20 theaters. That's why.
Yeah, despite us having only done 2 episodes on the movie.
Oh my god! You know, I bet that movie has been playing over the years, gaining a cult following. Has probably finally earned its like $17 million budget just with like cult showings over the last almost 20 years now.
We can only hope. I've never heard of this movie, and this is the first time I've seen it play in a theater, but maybe I'm not in the fun part of town. I don't know.
I knew about it because obviously I was like back in like when I was like 15 or 16, I was like, oh, The Rock's got a new movie coming out? That's weird. And I can't find it in a theater. So then as soon as it came out at Hollywood Video, I was like right there. I watched it and I was like, I don't get it. And then I didn't want to get it because it was too obtuse at the time for me.
Yeah.
And then I bought it on DVD because I was like, I got to watch it again. And then I watched it and I'm like, this is weird. And then I've grown over the years to like it a lot more and more.
It's crazy how not muscular The Rock is in this movie. Now, I want to be clear. Rock's still a very fit and, compared to an average man, muscular fellow. But having been used to him in his more recent films looking gigantic, he's just like a regular guy who works out in this movie.
Yeah, it's I believe we even talked about it. Like his producers were like, if you want to like branch out more and do like different kinds of roles and more dramatic roles, then you should probably like start losing a little bit of muscle, because it's just like you're too big and it's like it's hard to like find roles for like dramatic roles for like really gigantic guys. And then so he did that for a few years when he was just doing the family comedies. Like he was still big, but he wasn't like enormous. And then 2011 Fast 5 comes along and he's like they had to pour him into the shirt basically. He's like busting out of like a shirt that could have fit on my 3-year-old. It's just like, is that comfortable? Are you choking?
That's how we know he's really muscular.
Yeah.
Well played.
The veins popping as soon as he like goes to check his watch, right?
Yeah, the watch also a kid's watch.
Yeah. It's like one of those like Nickelodeon Rugrats watches.
Like,
going for the same joke.
All right, Joe, we can do the real movie now.
Okay.